Again, my friends, once more, welcome to Leopard Street, to the cellar. This weekend is a bit of a project weekend. I've been mentioning for a while, this board here, this is board L, this is the station throat, couple of double slips, couple of points, and the beginnings of the platforms, which if I just move you back slightly, you'll be able to see, there, little bits of platform. Now, I've drilled a hole for a signal, which is the starter for this platform. I want to drill a hole there, but I can't. Because there's one of these sitting under it. There's a relay board. I put it in the wrong place. So that's going to get moved from there. It sort of sits, it's going to get moved so it sits under these tracks. There is an uncoupler here, or there will be. So there's a hole for one of those. There's power feeds. But I've got a big section in the middle here that won't ever have anything stuck in it. So I can put that in. So there'll be a starter for these two. These are the last two of these I've got. I've had a delivery. So I've got the lighting control boards. But this board is the project. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lift this out. I've got this loose bit of wire, which is the feed for a section of track over here. That needs to be fitted. That's really the first job, is sorting this out. I've got a block detection board which is going to go in. And one of the problems I've got is I need to work out where on earth to put all of this stuff. So, this is Leopard Street. Let's have a look. Okay, so as mentioned, this is the board. So I have a starter signal there, temporary platforms. I'm going to put one there. If we look under here, yeah, that big blue block of relays, they need moving. They're moving much. This is moving over here. I'm changing the relays for these boards here because I've got some chattering and sticking relays on those. Not 100% sure if it's the boards or the drivers, but I've got spare boards, so I'm just going to swap them out. So the wire is for this little bit of track here, which is why I've not really been able to use the suburban platforms for a bit. I've cleared all this off. Now all of on here is going to be a goods yard. So I'm going to try and keep it relatively clear. Yeah, try. So the jobs, I've got to fit both of those. Sitting over there, on that little bit of green you might be able to see, I'll just zoom in, is a DTC8 block detection board. That's going to go in. I need to swap out a faulty one of those. So I'm sort of new one of those out. I've got to build and fit a lighting board, which is they're down there in bags, so I need to sort those out as well. First job, take this out. So I'm going to take this signal back out because it's not connected to anything. I'm going to put those out of the way. I'm going to shift the drill and whatever. I'm going to take this off. So I'll catch you in a mo when this is on the desk. Incidentally, I'm not going to be doing a blow-by-blow. This is every single bit of wire on here. I've done plenty of those. I'm more going to be focusing on the why I'm doing what I'm doing and how we're doing it. So as I say, there's a relay board sitting under there. It needs to come over here. The theory is things under track aren't going to get drilled. Not too sure about this little bit here. I need to work out where the block detection board itself is going to go. And to be honest, this sort of area is where I'm thinking. All the blocks are down here. And what have I got here? I've got block 1, 2, 3 is all of the station throat. I'll include that new piece of wire. 4 is this bit here with the double slip. 5 is this section down here. 6 is that little bit. I've got 7 and 8. So I've got 8 blocks. I've got an 8-channel block detector, so that should work. What that obviously means is when the goods yard goes in, I'll need more. I've got some planning to do. Anyway, let's get this board lifted. Right. This wouldn't be Leopard Street without something going wrong, would it? That's really gone wrong. The relay board has been moved. That is a new relay board. It's not tested yet, obviously, because I'm not able to power it up. This is still the old relay board, because this one that's supposed to replace it has got cross-threaded terminals, 2 of them so far, which basically render it useless. So, well done. Whoever put those together. Yay. The replacement PCF board, which is going to go over here, is on the desk with some glue drying. The lighting management board, which is probably going to end up around here somewhere, or maybe over here, down a bit further down. Yeah, around here somewhere. That's also on the desk. Again, waiting some glue drying. These little interface boards here. The signal that's on is connected. I've prepared the other 2 with the relay moved. I've drilled the hole, so they'll be going in. The biggest problem, however, is somewhat predictable. I've run out of wire. Well, I've run out of wire. I've run out of brown 1602. So, yeah, there'll be an order going in shortly. That'll probably turn up during the week. The DTC8 is in. It's not fully wired in because I ran out of wire. It's over here because, well, I mean, this is where the board, the main controller is, but also that's where this PCF board, which is the one it talks to, is located. It's got its power lead in. It hasn't got its ground lead in, and it's not fully connected yet. That's fine. Feeds 1 through 5 are connected here. They're not yet connected to the supply side due to the wire shortage. Let me come over here. Now, something I didn't realise. I've got 8 feeds on this board. I've got 9. So there's going to be another DTC8 sitting over here at some point, which will talk to the little module that's going to be down here, or it might end up down here. You see these motors that run across in a line? Well, if we just have a little look on the other side, yeah, that's round here. There's going to be more point work, which is, come back this side, there. That is this area here. So actually, this bit's probably not too bad. There'll be track over it, and there'll be power feeds. But I can work. I mean, I can choose where the power feeds go. Over here, point work has to go where point work has to go. So down here's a little bit unusable. Up here's not too bad. This along here is where one of the platforms sits. This is a signal. This is where the other platform sits with a signal. Uncoupler is in over here. That is the platform 2 drop-off uncoupler. So when a train shunting engine comes in, I just think that could be Thomas now, couldn't it? He's lurking back there. You might get shunting duty. Anyway, that's going to work. I'm going to enjoy doing that. So yeah, so this is Saturday. I'm going to have a little bit of a pause at this point. Meanwhile, however, we come over here. Now this is obviously going to be goods yard. The other board sits here. You can see the end. The sidings will come onto here. There'll be a goods shed. I have got the goods shed now. That's where I put that. Out of the way because I've been doing some drilling. Yeah. So over here, there's going to be some sidings and a goods shed and so on and so forth. And there's going to be some coach sidings on this. This little bit here is probably going to be 3-track carriage sidings. So the goods yard is a bit limited with its width. Thought occurred. Originally, I was going to have a siding that ran along here, basically, and it was either going to just end or it was going to go the full length. That was basically a storage siding. Can take a full-length goods train. Wagons can just be stored in it. Then there's going to be a goods yard road. There'll be a generic AN other road, and there'll be a shorter one for putting brake vans on. The thought occurred with this long road. I can still keep that, but I could actually loop it around. So it comes around onto here. Can't put points on this board because there's too much underneath it. But if I put another point over here somewhere, I could have two sidings over here. Some sort of factory or something sat on top of this. Not decided yet, it's just a thought. But it gives me something to put on top of this bit. Yeah, it restricts the view. What on earth is... Anyway, never mind. Where that's come from. Some bits probably flaked off the wall. Or they've blown in because there's a vent. It has been quite windy. Yeah, so there's a bit more ongoing. So let me just... Yeah, so I can do a bit more on this. What I'm probably going to do is leave it partly wired. I'm going to put it back on the board, back in place, so I can get the other signals in and glued in. I can put them. I can wire them in tomorrow. I can wire the lighting rig in because that uses different wire, and I've got wire to do that. That's fine. I think we'll see, and then hopefully I can get the signals working. I'm not going to be able to drive trains on it for probably the rest of the week now, until I get some more wire in, and then I've got more time probably next weekend to finish the wiring off. I'm going to order another DTC8. I was going to be using it for the next board down. Instead, it's going to go onto this one. I'm going to need one at some point anyway. So this gives me road 9, block 9. That'll energize. And I've then got the spare channels for when the goods yard goes in. So that's Saturday for you. I'll be back in a mow on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday afternoon. I've got as far as I can get with this now. Basically until some more wire turns up. So it is what it is. Let's tilt you down a little here. We'll have a look. There's this corner's where a fair bit of the change has happened. DTC8, it will now power up. It won't detect anything because not all the wires are interconnected to the track, but whatever, it'll power up. The TLC 5947 lighting controller is in. That is wired, not tested yet. That's connected to the board. I've got these little circuit boards here. All this is a 3-pin. Actually, let me just zoom in a bit. We'll turn around. Yeah, all this little board is, there's a 3-pin connector in green. The signal connects to that. If this was a 3-aspect signal, that'd have 4 in it, but the black is the positive wire, the red and the green go to the LEDs. The 2 orange wires that come out of the white connector go to the red and green terminals, and they go all the way down here into the lighting board. The 2 fat green wires are 12-volt positive. One goes up to the connector at the top. The other comes out, and they just daisy chain. So there's the little metal staples there. The black wire is connected to both orange terminals, and the 2 orange terminals at the top are connected to each other. It's fairly straightforward. I was going to 3D print a little mount for it to sit on. As you can see, I haven't. I've just screwed the thing in place. So I've got that one over here. I've got that one. So you can see the orange wire daisy chains. 2402 is complete and utter overkill. Bearing in mind these LEDs are going to have, at most, the load on this connector is going to be about 9-10 milliamps. Utter overkill. But what it means is I've got a 12-volt supply here, which I can tap off and I can feed other things with. So, yeah. That's in. As I said, I can't put the other one in because one of the connectors is cross-threaded. These track wires, they no longer have the feed wire connecting to them. 6, 7, and 8 will feed over to coils 6, 7, and 8 over here. They don't yet because obviously I ran out of wire. Then all of the inputs of those will be commoned to something. I'm probably going to end up putting in another connector. Now, if I step back a bit, I can't really step back because that's behind me. As you can see, there's not a lot of space under here now. All this empty area down the bottom is because that is where the layout is going to develop. I haven't yet decided exactly what's going there. So that's going to be development. There is a bit of space up here. This is probably where the other DTC8 is going to go because it needs to connect into that. So I want it fairly near, and I can't put it down there because, well, more layout. If I come around this side, so I've got those two signals glued in. Yeah. So what I need to do now is clean all this clutter off, put everything away. This board needs cleaning, so that is going to be kitchen roll and IPA, cleaning the track after I've run the Hoover over it, mini new. Then I'm going to put the board back on, I'm going to power it back up. Now, I can't run trains on it because the track power is not going to be there. What I can do, hopefully, is test all the servos work, test all the relays work now, so hopefully they won't be clattering anymore or sticking. And hopefully I can test the LEDs. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, get this thing remounted. I'm getting a little bit better at putting these things on and off now. Incidentally, I've moved the wiring in the corners. That corner there sits on top of that post. And what I found was when I was putting it in, it ended up sitting on top and trapping the wires. I had to go in and fiddle about with the wires. I've done the same down in that corner. I've just routed the wires away from the corner. Now, some of these may be dangling down a little bit too much. I mean, like that. That may start getting in the way. If it does, I'll just re-tie wrap it. But like I say, I'm not going to be running trains on here. Well, it's not on the station. I might be able to run them on the lower deck. Although I'm a little bit busy on the lower deck over the back. Anyway, I'll catch you in a minute. Well, the board's back in. Now, you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, it's not entirely to plan. There's something very, very weird going on here, which I need to get to the bottom of. It may be electrical interference. There's a lot of things it could be. Anyway, board's back in. There's a wire here, which is the power wire to the track. That isn't connected because that's the wiring issue I've got. Anyway, what we've got, there are two signals there. These are the two departure signals. Platform 2, platform 3. Showing red aspect currently because that's just what I've set them to. Over here, we have the approach signal. Lights up showing a red aspect. There is a little box of screws sitting here, which hopefully you can see. Actually, I've got a mirror. That might work a bit better. It's basically so you can see the aspect of the thing even though it's pointing the other way. And open this little mirror, which was a delightful freebie from Amazon. If I put that there. The question is whether that shows that signal. It will do if I put it back a little bit further. I'll leave that there. You can see a red glow on it. So signals all work in red. Now, I've also set them up in JMRI. So if we have a little look here, you've got the approach signal, platform 2, platform 3. The logic for them isn't there yet because of a little issue I've got. Now, I can manually control these. So I'm going to change the approach signal. So watch the red glow over there. Goes to a green glow. Back to a red glow. That's working. Happy with that. Platform 3. Red signal, green signal. Works quite nicely. Then we come to this one. Red signal, everything off. Do you see the quick flash? Now I've turned it back on. Now that should be a red signal currently, but it's showing green. It was off again because I've just told it to go that. Turn it back on. Tell that one to change. It now changes. So I'll make this a green signal. It comes on very briefly and then they all go off. And when I turn it back on, it should now be red, but it's showing green. It will update, however, when I change any other signal. Yeah. There's also another issue, and I suspect this is all connected. The relay board I've changed isn't working. Or, rather, it is working if I tap them, all of them. That suggests it's got a power problem. It's getting the command signals, but it's not getting the coil power needed to make it change. So, yeah, a little bit of progress, just not quite as much as I wanted to make. I'm going to have to take the whole thing apart again. Well, not apart. I'm going to have to put it back up over there again. Basically, when I come to do the rest of the wiring. So when I've got that in pieces, I'm going to start doing a little bit more of a probe on this. The relays especially, I think I'm going to end up modifying my little test rig for the PCF 8575 just to make sure I'm getting the outputs I think I'm getting. I'm fairly certain I am. And the new PCF 8575 is reporting no occupancy. It hasn't got a bot detector connected to it, but the previous one was reporting all occupied. This is reporting all unoccupied, which is what it should do when nothing's connected to it. So, progress. For this week, I need to order another DTC8, which will give me one more track on here. Go figure. And then the rest of the wiring is going to come in. But yeah, so a weekend of very typical Leopard Street. I've run out of wire or run out of something. I'm waiting on bits, and something I've done doesn't work quite the way it should do. Now, it's worth noting, all of these lights do work. They all come on. There's a couple of ways I can control them. I can tell them to act as lights. So I can say light 0, which is... I've got these written down. Light 0 is the red signal, is this red light here. I'll bring it this way around again. So yeah, light 0 is that red. Light 1 is that green. So if I just check this here. So light 0 is on. If I say I want light 1 to be on as well, see, it comes on. Now what that tells me, it's not a wiring fault, because if it was, that wouldn't work. If I now go and say I want light 2 to be on as well, light 2, come on, light 2, bing. That's all 4 LEDs over here, and I can turn the red LED on over there as well. That suggests it's a code problem somewhere. Now, the code that drives these is laughably simple. There's a library that manages it for me. They all come on when I start up. I tell it, the different channels. It says basically turn them all on at half intensity, hold for a second, then turn them off. It's just a light test. It's a useful way for me of seeing do these things work, so I can just hit reset, unplug it, plug it back in, and oh look, the lights come on. But when I tell individual lights to work via the code that's driving JMRI, they don't work properly. The weird bit is I'm using the same code to do both. So yeah, more investigation needed. Anyway, that's this weekend done. So what have I achieved? I'm not going to say the square root of marginally nothing. It's coming on, it's progress. I've got some more signals in. The reason I want these two is indication, the same with this other one here. Is the route through the station throat set for what I'm about to do? If I've got a train in platform 2 and I want to drive it out and that signal showing red, I know there's either a train in front of it, in which case I've made a mistake because there's already a train there, or one of these 2 points down here isn't set correctly. If I want to drive a train out of here and it's showing red, one of those 2 points or the double slip is set incorrectly. It's essentially a Muppet prevention scheme. Same with coming in. There's a slight drawback of where I normally operate from. I can't actually see the aspect of that signal. So for a while, there is going to be something sitting over here for it to reflect on so that I can see it. Eventually, there's going to be a goods shed or something over there, and hopefully I'll be able to see it off that. I can see them on the screen anyway. But again, if that's showing red, it's odds on the slip setting correctly. This one is going to be able to come into 3, 4, 5, 6, or the goods loop. In theory, it needs multi-heads. Eventually, when it's semaphore, it'll probably be a gantry. That'll be a fun thing to build, a gantry with 5 working heads on it. The more interesting bit is going to be where on earth the mechanism to drive that's going to live. It won't be able to live on the surface because there's going to be track and everything over here, so I won't be able to even run the wires. It can't live down there towards the signal box because there's a board join. It's going to have to live underneath. And if I glance underneath around there, yeah, getting 5 little servos down there is going to be interesting. That's a problem for the future me. I'm pretending I don't know about that one just yet. Never mind. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks again for watching. All likes, comments, shares. I have turned Clarabelle around so she now faces, so she's looking backwards. It's a fairly straightforward one to do. Various comments on, will more of Thomas be turning up? Yeah. Just yes, it's going to happen. I was thinking to myself last night, if I get a few more of those locos, I could run Leopard Street just using Thomas and Friend bits. Somebody suggested, oh, he's on an excursion somewhere, and he's found his way up here. I mean, this being Leopard Street, it's more likely he's just got lost and ended up here regardless. That's what happens. That's why trains are at Leopard Street. They get lost. Anyway, enough waffle. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you very much for watching. Likes, comments, shares, etc. all more than welcome. I'll catch you in the next one, and goodbye.